Hi, I'm Hannah from 21st Century K. I teach kindergarten and I help other teachers bridge the gap between traditional kindergarten and 21st century expectations. This year, I have been teaching kindergarten exclusively online, and I've learned a lot of lessons about myself and about teaching. But this video is all about the fourth biggest lesson that I've learned that will carry me through 2021 and the rest of my career. The first three lessons learned in the prior videos were about planning and teaching and preparing to teach and delivering lessons. Today's video is about something a little bit different. In order to have success teaching online, you absolutely must have improved parent communication. I have to have improved communication with my families. I am counting on them to help me teach their children while they're in their home and I'm in the screen. It is tough, and I always believed that I was good at parent relationships, and I think that I was. I never knew what I was missing until I started teaching online and until I started sharing with parents what the learning process is like. I cannot tell you the amount of positive feedback I have gotten from parents who are getting a ringside seat to their child's learning. We have never had this opportunity in education before, and we may never have it again. And I do believe that in person with a live teacher is hands down the best way to learn. Don't get me wrong, but in this situation, we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, and when we get our mindset right and when we open those lines of communication, we can have just as much success online as we do in the classroom. But it starts with the teacher. We're the professional that has to reach out and build and begin that relationship in order for it to build. And that's why my lessons learned online number 4 is improved family communication. Newsletters and calendars and any way that you can think of to communicate with families they're going to be vital. Some of the number 1 ways I've communicated this year, though, are with how-to videos like this, where I talk to them about my expectations for them and their student, and also with a daily email. So today, my tips and tricks for you are about how to craft that daily email to help your families have success and feel confident when their children are learning from home. But like I've said about all of these lessons, I've learned better ways to communicate with my families from here on out. It's important to give them information, give them details, but take it from this mom of 3. Too many emails is too many emails. And if you send too many and if you get carried away, no one's gonna read them. My 11-year-old says, #no one's listening. So it's important to communicate what you need concisely and in an easy way so that families can access their learning and families can take care of what they need to take care of on their end to help make your job easier. So I have some screenshots of one of my daily emails, and I screenshot it on my phone because I feel that most families are accessing our communication through their phone. So if you do create a newsletter or if you do create a calendar, it's really important to save it as an image or a PDF file before attaching it to an email, because if you leave it as a Word doc or a Google Doc or a PowerPoint, families may not be able to view it on their phone, or it may contort all of the text boxes and all of the margins to where it becomes too difficult to read. If you're unsure how to do that, you can for sure Google it, but if you create something in PowerPoint, you can save as PDF. If you save it as a PDF, it becomes a read-only file. That means when you send it, it comes up like a picture. The cool thing is, though, your hyperlinks still work. So don't forget that tip about hyperlinks and use them in your newsletters and calendars and also in your emails. My daily email starts out with a greeting and some comment about the day, or or reminders that have to do with that exact day and any links that go along with that. I let them know exactly what they're going to need when they come later in the day for their small group instruction, and I let them know where they can sign up for our social groups. It's the same every single day, so that what they need for the day is right there at the top. They should be able to find it to continue their learning throughout the day with me. That way they'll know our schedule. I hyperlink things sometimes by including the entire link to click on, but also by selecting the text that says click here to go to this, click here for our Zoom link. That way when they see those words and they're colored and capitalized and underlined, that directs them to click right there. Sometimes emails get really super jumbled with big long URLs, and it can be overwhelming, especially if you're reading it on your phone. You can imagine that a long URL would take up several lines of text in a phone email. And when you hyperlink the text and put the links in there, it makes it a lot easier to read. Continuing with my email, I take a screenshot of that daily lesson slide that I talked about in lesson learned number 3, improved lesson delivery. You can check that out by heading over to that video, but I just take a snip off the screen and literally paste it into the email. And guess what? I hyperlink the picture too. If you want to go to that slideshow, you just click on that picture. It'll take you straight to that daily slideshow where kids can access activities. Oh, and a point about that. When I take that URL, I go to the address bar and I backspace all the way to that last slash and type the word present and use that URL to link here. When I do that, it automatically goes in present mode when my kids open it up, and they can treat my slideshow like a web page and not mess anything up in the background. The next thing I do is include another picture with a link to our kindergarten website, where we as a team have provided resources for the whole grade level that aren't necessarily teacher specific. I also include what they're going to need the next day and the rest of the week. So I've got some parents who are go-getters and they want to go ahead and prep for the next day at the end of that day. So here they finished everything for today, and now they know what they need for Wednesday. I go in the same order every single time to match my live lesson, and they can pull all the activities that they'll need for me live on Wednesday. I let them know what specials we're going to be having and if they need to prepare anything for that as well. I finish my email with the same text every day. My thinking is this: if all of these links and all of these reminders are always here, then every single day my families can go back and find them. They shouldn't have to dig through deleted emails or look for a certain email that has a link to a certain thing, because they are all there every single day. And I also know that they're not going to read the whole entire thing. I've probably already lost them by now, but if they needed something, they would know where to come. You see, when I make the how to read my email tutorial video, I explain all of this so that my families know where to find what they need. I think this is super important and would be so valuable even for in-person classes, because this is our chief way of communicating with parents when our kids are in school, more so even than online learning. So it's important they understand what you're communicating, how and why, so that, again, your email works for you and helps make your job easier. So I close with highlighted reminders that I need them to take note of. I give them all kinds of links to Google Files, to websites for things that we're learning. They can go to any of our sites that we use as a school. They can also find our lesson recordings, and I always give them the option to make those available to another family member if someone else is providing their child's instruction at the time. And then I close with a closing for the day. My families know what to expect because I maintain consistency and because I have explained how I want them to utilize our communication tools. But the number one thing I've learned from teaching online is about building relationships. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm sitting on their kitchen table every morning, but it seems to me that teaching this way and learning about my students and their parents together and learning about my parents as humans and them seeing me as such, even if I am just Max Headroom. If you're not as old as me and you don't get that reference, I apologize. But it's so important to build relationships with your students' families. And when you make the communication part easy, it makes having a relationship easier. They're not confused. They're not feeling like they're doing something wrong. They're not feeling like they're bothering you by asking questions because you're an open book and you're trying to provide for them. It takes so many uncomfortable moments off the table when you can build that relationship and make communication easier. It's not easy to do, but I believe it's quite possibly the number one most important thing that I've learned teaching online this year, and the number one most important things that we should be doing as professionals in this field. Thank you so much if you have joined me for all the 4 lessons learned as an online kindergarten teacher this year. There are so many more things that I can't wait to share with you. If you are not a 21st Century K subscriber, please click the link in the video description below, and please join me anytime over at 21stcenturyk.com or 21st Century K on TPT. I hope that you have an amazing 2021, that you have had a wonderful winter break, and I'll see you next year.